let's talk about the man that was convicted of crimes that were extremely similar to that of JonBenet Ramsey. So much so that he actually admitted to being the one that committed the crime. And I'm not talking about Dax's or John Mark Carr, none of that. This man that I'm talking about was on the FBI's most wanted list for being a serial predator, kidnapping children out of their homes while the parents slept in multiple states. I actually reached out personally to John Ramsey to ask him a couple questions about this individual to see if there was really any research done into him and his claims that he was actually the one that did it. And Mr. Ramsey was actually kind enough to respond to me about this individual and go through and tell you about this man who did similar crimes to that of JonBenet and actually claimed responsibility for JonBenet's death. His name was James Allen Selby, and he was most notably known for committing multiple crimes. He was charged with over 30 counts relating to kidnapping, SA, attempted unaliving, you name it, he was doing it. And he was wanted in Oklahoma, Nevada, Colorado, Arizona, and California. He actually served in the Army and was deployed during the Persian Gulf War in the 90s, and he received an honorable discharge. And ultimately, in 1999, this is where he first kind of starts getting caught. It was in Oklahoma. Sarah Jones woke James carrying her outside of her home, out of the window through a wooded area. Her mother was home at the time. She thought she was sleeping in bed and went to go check on her, and her daughter was gone. So the mom hopped in the car and was driving around trying to find her to see what had happened, and eventually 45 minutes later, after Selby was done, he got up and said that he was gonna go find a friend or something like that, and he walked away, and the girl got up and ran for her life and went to the neighbors. He was actually interviewed the next day by police and was scheduled to go down to the station to give a DNA sample, but then skipped town. So he got away. This would continually happen as he would eventually get caught up a little bit with police. He would just move and go to a different state. He liked to stay very close to college towns. He committed multiple crimes on multiple women, sometimes 2 or 3 in a week, on college-aged women, sneaking into their homes. And during a couple of the crimes, he was a maintenance worker for an apartment. So obviously he was pretty familiar with maybe messing with some entrances, doors, windows, whatever. But he worked at an apartment complex. He then was linked to the assault of a 12-year-old in Sparks, Nevada. And around that time, he became featured on the television program America's Most Wanted for the crime in Arizona that he had committed. He is believed to be responsible for over 15 crimes, always involving SA and stuff like that. He's charged with 4 campus area assaults in Tucson, so he would hang around those campuses. He ended up being charged with attempted unaliving, SA, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and this was in 2002, so just a few years after JonBenet Ramsey. He actually was arrested later on, and he sent a confession letter to the crime unit in San Diego, California. At the attention of any detective, I'll put his letter right there so you can see, and he actually claimed responsibility for another similar case, and that was the case of Danielle Van Dam. She was another little girl who was taken from her home in the middle of the night and ended up being unalived. There was actually another man currently serving a sentence for being convicted in that case. And the man that was convicted always claimed he was innocent because he was out at a bar that night, and the girl's mother was also at the bar and seen him there, so he couldn't have been the one to do it, is what he claims. But they eventually somehow linked it back to him with DNA or blood or something. But he was a neighbor of the little girl. So the police kind of brushed off the confessions and that of JonBenet's with, he's just saying it type of thing. But the MOs of the cases were very, very similar. And the fact that he was in Colorado and convicted for assaults there, it's pretty intriguing, to say the least. He even represented himself at his own trial, was cross-examining his own victims of the assaults that he had committed. Obviously, he didn't do too good of a job and was convicted of 27 counts. But the day before he was meant to be sentenced, he ended up self-deleting in his jail cell. He had assaulted a 9-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And in one of the cases, one of the children had said that he had shoved a leather glove in her mouth to gag her. He used duct tape in some instances and other instruments. He would often make them clean themselves up or shower afterward in order to, I guess, wash away any DNA. But he often would leave some DNA there. But I found it interesting that he had taken the girl outside of the home, just not too far off, but just off into the woods in the Oklahoma assault of the 9-year-old. After his death, it was a big issue because he was actually buried with full military honors in Fort Sill National Cemetery in Elgin, Oklahoma. And that was a big issue for the victims and their parents, saying that he should not be able to be buried there when he has committed such atrocities. A lot of the parents were really, really upset and started to try to change the rules or laws relating to that. He was very good at talking his way out of situations, and police, when they were looking for him, believed that he was either a former policeman or somehow intelligent enough, served in the military, to be able to get in and out of these homes, and would stake the homes out prior to actually committing his acts. That way he would be able to get in and out without stirring up any animals, because there was a couple of instances where he got in without disturbing any animals. And just to get out, he got familiar with the home and the layout and the neighbors and their timelines long enough to know when they would be home and just when the best time to make his move would be. If there is a possibility that JonBenet was one of his first assaults, it could be possible that that was the reason why that ransom note was worded so uniquely, almost like a, I guess, like a foreign type of threat written in a letter. It was a very uniquely written letter, and perhaps he studied the Ramseys if he was the one that did this. Speculating. Maybe he watched them. Maybe he saw the newspaper clippings. Maybe he worked in their house as a handyman. Obviously, he was getting jobs working as handyman for multiple places and staying in and around college towns. Boulder is a college town for the University of Colorado. So I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. Let me know what you think about this individual. I mean, he did say that he did it, but I don't know if sometimes you just gotta be hesitant to believe individuals that claim they do things. But the fact that his MO was very, very similar is intriguing to me. And the fact that he was literally in the state just within a few years. So he could have been bouncing around from time to time, you know, going, every time he would do something, he would leave to another state and go commit crimes there and then move. So I don't know, it's very possible that he could have been working his way over or doing things like that. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I always love to hear you guys' opinion, as long as it's respectful, and even if we disagree, we can still have a respectful conversation. I don't expect anybody to just be like, yes, you're exactly right. That's not what I want. I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions, as long as like you're coming in respectfully. So as always, like, share, and follow this for any more upcoming videos that I might make for this. And I will see you guys next time.